Hello, little witchlings and princelings, and welcome to your weekly Coven Summoning. My name is Ilsa.
And my name is Stacy.
And we're Caffeine and Conjuring,
a fantasy bookish podcast where we will discuss some of our favorite fantasy reads.
We're back. We're still dying, but we're back.
We just couldn't put it off any longer.
It feels like it's been so long.
It does. When I was doing up the notes, because of course I didn't do up the notes directly after reading it, I struggled a lot.
It's been
I couldn't remember
84 years.
Felt like it.
So we end off last episode with Rowan and Dorian together. And Rowan's kind of just horny and flying off in eagle form and regretting not taking Aelin the way he wanted to when he had a chance.
Yeah, I remember now. And poor Dorian is all bundled up like a little burrito in the really broken, moldy, gross boat.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now we're on to Tower of Dawn, Chapter 2. And I already need a pillow.
Oh, I feel so bad because it really shouldn't be this boring. Like, why? Anyways, carry on.
It's really painful. It's really painful. It doesn't feel like there's nearly enough Empire of Storms, even though they're basically the same.
Yeah.
So, Nesrin and Chaol finally step into the Kagan's palace, and the weight of the moment is palpable. For Nesrin especially, it's complicated. On the one hand, she's captain of the guard, standing tall and steady, representing her king. On the other hand, she's a daughter of Antica, home at last among people who look like her, who wouldn't treat her family as outsiders. That tension, duty versus belonging, colors every line of her perspective here. The Kagan himself is exactly the larger-than-life figure her childhood stories made him out to be. He radiates power and weariness all at once. A warrior who fought his way to the throne, and a man who knows exactly what it costs to keep it. His children are no less formidable, each distinct and already sizing up Chaol and Nesrin like they're pieces on a chessboard. You can almost feel the court politics cracking in the air. Chaol and Nesrin present their gifts, jewels from Aelin's trove, blood money repurposed as royal diplomacy. And the reaction is mixed, to say the least. There is curiosity, calculation, and more than a little judgment. Kagan wastes no time cutting through the niceties, openly naming what everyone knows. They've come to beg for his armies. And his response is sharp as a blade. He calls out their desperation, their lack of leverage, even Aelin's bloody history as Selena Sardothian. It's brutal honesty, but also shrewd posturing, reminding them exactly who holds the power here. The most chilling twist comes at the end. The death banners hanging across the city aren't for some distant official. They're for Tumulin, and I am sorry if I'm butchering that pronunciation, but that's what we're getting. And she was the Kagan's youngest daughter, a 17-year-old princess dead just 3 weeks ago. You can feel the grief in the room, and Chaol and Nesrin suddenly find themselves on even shakier ground. Their timing, coming to demand aid while a family mourns, is more than unfortunate. It's borderline offensive. And, as if that weren't heavy enough, the real gut punch lands with the news that Rifthold has fallen. Harrington, aka Erewhon, controls the city. The witches and Valg now hold everything south of it. For Nesrin, the blow is personal and devastating. Her family, her nieces and nephews, the bakery, Suddenly, all of it's under enemy's hands. That silent breakdown at the end, her knees buckling under the thought of her family's fate, it's one of the most humanizing moments we've had for her yet. And I wish I could have felt that moment a little harder, but I was skimming.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try and hide it. I've read this book twice now. This is the third time, and I am skimming. I'm like refreshing my mind of what happens, and that's it.
That's fine. You've already read it and experienced it a couple times. So this time going through, it's totally okay to skim it. But I have to say, I don't know if any of the listeners will pick up on it, but you perked up a little more when Rifthold was mentioned. You got a little more into it.
I want to go home, man. I want to go home. I don't want to be at the Sesame Seed anymore.
No. Oh. And all of the chapters are like the same thing.
Yeah.
Like all of the chapters that we've read for this section of reading literally could have been condensed into one chapter.
Yeah, it goes from, oh, just trying to get help to, oh, there's a tingle between my legs when you touch there.
Okay.
I guess we should put a little disclaimer. We're both extremely overtired tonight.
Here we are just like rubbing our eyes.
Yeah, we're still sick. We're overtired. It's Friday night. It's This episode is 2-3 weeks overdue. And it's a snooze
We're gonna
fest,
push
and we're pushing through.
It's fine.
Yeah, everything's
okay.
fine.
And it doesn't pick up yet because we're still back at Tower of Dawn, chapter 3. And Nesrin is lost to her grief. She's emotionally, mentally, and physically just out. She's checked out. She slips into her room, she shuts the door, and she just vanishes.
Same girl.
And honestly, who can blame her? Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, the news of Rifthold falling alone was crushing, but the fact that her family, the way that she was thinking of what happened to her family, oh, she's in shock. I felt it. I mean, I read it and I like Nesrin. I think she's a great character. What we know of her so far.
Yeah.
She still kind of feels like, in the last couple books, like we still don't get a whole lot of her. So it is nice to get more of her point of view now.
Yeah.
But I just wish it was under better circumstances. But anyways, Chaol obviously feels stuck. Like he can't help. All he can do is just watch. He's stuck on the outside. And it's one of those moments where you can feel the distance between them. And which is sad because the end of the last book, they were like really pushing for the two of them. Like, I don't know. It just felt like they were really brewing up something great there.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, here's a giant wedge. Kind of feels strange. I felt like this. I don't know. I'll get more into it later when we get a few more chapters into Tower of Dawn.
Yeah.
So, Chaol's left to stew alone. He's running through all the worst case scenarios. He's clinging to hope for Dorian with the same stubbornness he's always had, refusing to let his mind go to a darker place. It's almost like he's convincing himself by sheer force of will. But you can tell that the cracks are showing. And of course, he's also grinding his teeth over Aelin, because if there's one constant in life, it's Chaol having feelings about Aelin Galathinius. Whether they're good or bad, either way, he's stewing over something to do with Aelin.
Yep.
And then Cashin shows up, just striding in like, hey, welcome to the palace/crime scene. Let's talk about my dead sister. And that's exactly what he does. Cashin doesn't bother with the political games. He admits straight out that he doesn't believe Tumalin's death was a suicide. He asks Chaol to use his outsider's eyes to watch the court and see what he might have missed. It's a surprisingly raw moment of honesty, and you can tell Cashin is more soldier than schemer. He's grieving, he's suspicious, and he's looking for someone to trust. And let's be real, it's refreshing to see a royal who doesn't hide behind 12 layers of diplomacy. And just when things are getting intense, the tone shifts to Chaol's bath scene.
And it's not like The Witcher, just letting you know.
No. No. He's wheeled into this lush, steamy chamber, and the servant sent to him shows up in sheer silk, clearly prepared to offer more than just a bath. Cue the awkward silence. Chaol, to his credit, shuts it down fast, but the moment still lays bare, pun intended, his vulnerability. Watching him lower himself into the water, every motion strained, every ounce of pride tested, it hits hard. This is a man still figuring out who he is in this broken body. I feel like this entire series is Chaol trying to figure out who he is.
Yeah.
Like everything has just been stripped away from him. And through it all, Nesserin's silence lingers in the background. There's no footsteps, no voice, no comfort from the other side of the door. It makes the scene heavier because even surrounded by luxury, Chaol feels profoundly alone. This chapter, it blends grief, suspicion, and vulnerability, and Cashin's honesty cracks open the political facade, while Chaol's bath reminds us just how raw and human his struggle is.
Hop back to Empire Storms. Thank God. We're back with Lead, who's still on the move. For 3 days, she's been stumbling through Oakwald, half-starved, half-delirious, and completely lost. And to make matters worse, she knows she's being hunted. The fear here is visceral. She's drinking from a stream with shaking hands, and then a howl tears through the forest. Not a dog, not a wolf, something worse. Something straight out of Morath's nightmares. And honestly, same, Lead. I'd also sell my soul to the Dark God for a nap at this point.
Yeah. Poor girl. Oh my God.
But then enter the 7-foot Fey male Lorcan. The towering, broody, grumpy Fey warrior who's been stalking her for days. He shows up, crouched across the stream, and in his very Lorcan way, gives her a choice. Come with me, or get eaten. Romantic, right?
I would run so fast towards him.
Yeah. Right into
why
his
is that a
arms.
question? Like, there's a 7-foot Fey warrior crouched across the stream, and you make eye contact, and he's just like, you. Whatever it is that he says. I don't remember what he said.
Think fast.
Yeah. Come with me or get eaten. Like, okay.
But there's no time for witty banter between them because the howls are getting closer and scarier. Lorcan, to his credit, actually helps her run instead of just letting her die. For a guy who prides himself on being heartless, he's clearly invested in keeping her alive. Or at least curious enough about her to want her breathing. That little something dark he senses clinging to her, yeah, he's not letting that mystery slip away just yet.
He's too curious.
Yeah. And then we meet the Ilkin. Forget the word hounds, we just leveled up the nightmare fuel. These things are massive, skin like mottled shadows, claws like razors, and worst of all, they talk. With human eyes. Little grotesque. It's plain wrong. It's exactly the kind of horror Erwin would unleash on the world. Their little chat makes it clear. They're here for a Lead. She's their quarry, and suddenly he knows just how valuable she is and how dangerous it is for her to be out here alone. Lorcan, of course, he isn't backing down. Oh, no, no. He tests their power, tries bluffing, and even bargains like he'd handily it over if the reward's good enough. But we all know that's a stalling tactic. A way to buy time for a lead, for himself, for the fight that's about to erupt. And when his shield melts under their claws, when those daggers are yanked right out of their skulls, that's when you realize these aren't just monsters. There's something new, something far worse. Right as Lorcan is bracing for what comes next, he feels a hand on his shoulder. There's a little quote here. Lorcan could have sworn an invisible hand touched his shoulder. He knew that touch, had trusted it his entire life. It had kept him alive this long. A touch on his back to go forward, to fight and kill and breathe in death. A touch on his shoulder to instead run, to know that only doom waited ahead and life lay behind. And then a lead scream rips through the forest.
Oh. I thought that was an interesting little tidbit to highlight there about Lorcan and the invisible hand like
Yeah,
on his back and his shoulder. So I had to keep that one in the vault.
I can't wait to send you some fan art of Lorcan.
Oh, I can't wait.
Some good fan art. I know I showed you like brief fan arts.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more.
Oh, I can't wait. And we're right back with a lead, and she's face to face with the kind of nightmare you don't wake up from. The Ilkin blocks her path and offers her a quick end, which honestly is the creepiest sales pitch I've ever heard. And here's the thing. A lead is shaking, she's exhausted, armed with nothing but a knife and a wrecked ankle, of course. Yet, instead of bolting or breaking down, she thinks, what would Manon do? WWMD. Not hide, not cower. Manon would terrify her opponent into backing down. So Elide bluffs, slipping into that cold, purring tone she learned from the wing leader herself, and pulls out the Wordstone shard, masks it in her fist, and claims she's been sent by Erewhon to hunt for him. She throws in a few choice threats about Morath's torture tables for good measure. And it works. The Ilkin hesitates, fears her. Elide plays the role to the hilt, stalking right past it with a sneer. It almost unravels when the creature notices her limp, but she doubles down with one more vicious line, invoking the horrors of Morath put inside her. The shard pulses at that moment, darkness flickering, and the Ilkin actually shudders, and she gets away. Half a mile later, Elide vomits into the dirt, the sheer terror and relief catching up to her. It underscores exactly how much she's had to force herself into masks of steel. That's when Lorcan reappears, dripping with black blood from the Ilkin he took down, and in true Lorcan fashion, his idea of a greeting is slapping a sword to her throat and demanding answers. So charming. What follows is an uneasy truce. He tests her with a cut, making sure her blood runs red and not black. She claims the name Marion. And yes, listeners, that little name drop is a loaded choice. Lorcan buys it for now and scoops her up like a sack of potatoes to get them moving. I would not mind being a sack of potatoes for Lorcan.
Yeah.
But like, I must be really hungry when I do up these notes because like, there's so much like food reference.
Hungry while writing the notes and then horny while recording.
Always. Once they stop, the two start probing each other. Elide shows him the extent of her injuries, scarred, twisted, shackled, and it's clear Morath has wrung every drop of suffering from her life. But she's also sharp, clever, and willing to trade knowledge for survival. She tells Lorcan what she saw at Morath, the forges, the armies, the screaming halls, her escape through chaos and fire, and her destination, Terrasen, because she owes a debt to a friend who told her to seek Selena Sardothian, and because she wants to find Queen Aelin to fight for her. So Lorcan's reactions here are fascinating because he's skeptical, he's snide, and he's ready to dismiss her, but he just keeps listening. He keeps asking, and when she presses him to swear he'll protect her, he actually does. This is Lorcan. 500 years of brutal service sworn only to Maeve, and now he's making promises to a crippled girl in the forest. Promises he might not even understand why he's making. He does make a note that it's interesting that she doesn't know that Aelin and Selena are one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. Like, I wonder how long it's going to take him to actually like tell her that, or if he's just going to like play along and just lead her to Tears and be like, okay, have fun.
Oh boy. And we're back to Tower of Dawn, chapter 4. And we have a returning
Even
character. We have Irene's chapter. She's at the top of the Torre Chesme, her sanctuary for the last 2 years. And we immediately see how far she's come since Inish. This is no longer the girl scrubbing tables at the White Pig, clinging to scraps of survival. This is a healer at the top of her class, respected, trusted, and thriving. And the room itself mirrors that. It's her safe place, the one where Hafiza first welcomed her and told her she belonged. Through her conversation with the healer on high, we get a sense of Irene's growth, but also her restlessness. She has learned so much, mastered so much, yet war calls to her. She wants to return north, to Fenharrow, to help heal the wounded in the fight against Arlen. You can feel her mother's shadow here. The fire, the loss, the rage that shaped her. That trauma has never really left, and it fuels her desire to give back, to save others what she endured. If only she could help me endure reading this. But Hafiza, ever the wise guide, isn't ready to let her go so easily. She offers Irene a choice: stay and continue to grow, maybe even one day take her place as healer on high, or leave to chase war and healing abroad. And then comes the test. Before Irene decides, Hafiza asks her to treat a special guest at the Coggan's palace. Someone injured and paralyzed from the waist down. It's Chaol Westfall. We all know this.
Who else would it be?
And Irene's response is immediate. Visceral. No. Not just hesitation, but outright refusal. Because in her eyes, he represents everything she lost. He was a captain of the guard in service to the king who destroyed her family, her people, her home. Healing him feels like betrayal, and her breakdown here is raw. Hafiza pushes her, reminds her of her healer's oath, tells her that choosing who lives and who dies is not their burden. There's even that gut punch of Hafiza's own story when she was tempted to let a monster bleed out, but chose to heal him so justice could be served. This is Irene's crucible. It's not about magic or skill, whether she's ready to leave. It's about whether she can face her own hate and grief and rise above it. Whether she can heal not just the body in front of her, but the wound inside herself. And Hafiza makes it clear this is her final test. The chapter closes with Irene clutching that note from a stranger, the scarred young woman who gave her gold and freedom years ago. Aelin's fingerprints are all over her story, though Irene doesn't know it yet. And that reminder, that call to do some good, that nudges her forward. She relents. She'll at least meet him. Tomorrow, she'll walk into Chaol's chambers, carrying her mother's memory, her own fury, and the possibility of healing something much larger than a spine.
Ooh.
It's funny that Chaol has hurt a spine because he didn't have a spine to begin with. Sorry.
We're so mean. We're so mean to Chaol.
It's mostly deserved.
Speaking of, Chapter 5 brings us back with Chaol. He's restless and running on fumes. The man hasn't slept. He's haunted by Rifthold's fall, wary of being surrounded by foreign royals, and dreading his first meeting with the Torre healer. Nezrin's pacing only sharpens attention. Their dynamic here is telling. She's restless, distant, already pulling away emotionally, while he's trying and failing to bridge that gap. The strain between them is so thick you could slice it with a butter knife. And then Irene arrives. The second Irene walks in, Chaol notices her eyes, because of course he does. They're they're not warm, they're cold, sharp, and full of recognition that stings. She knows exactly what he represents. Her hand clenches around that pocketed token, and it's like watching two predators size each other up. Chaol tries to keep his captain's cool, and Irene doesn't bother hiding her disdain. The examination scene is brilliant because it's not just about diagnosis, it's a battle of wills. Irene strips away his defenses with blunt clinical questions that border on humiliating. The "are you capable of using your manhood" line was an absolute dagger. And she doesn't soften it, doesn't flinch when he bristles. For every clipped answer he gives, she counters with cool detachment, making it clear she's in control here. Princess Hazar sweeps in like a cat, batting a mouse around, teasing Irene, taunting Chaol, reminding everyone whose court they're standing in. But what stands out is how Irene handles her, with barely concealed irritation, withstanding her princess's venom without bowing an inch. It tells us two things. One, Irene Towers is not easily cowed, and two, she's earned her place here through respect, not privilege. By the time Irene finishes her assessment, she leaves them not with reassurance, but with uncertainty. She admits that the injury is bad, worse than most, and pointedly says she needs to decide if she'll even attempt it. It's not framed as whether she can, but whether she will. And that distinction is razor sharp. For Nezrin, this is unthinkable. For Chaol, it's confirmation that Irene's resentment runs deep and that he's at her mercy. And then there's that scrap of paper that she leaves behind. Names scrawled quickly, but one repeated again and again. Josephine. It's underlined so many times, it feels like Irene was anchoring herself with it, reminding herself of the weight of memory in front of Ardalin's captain. It's her tether, her way of remembering who she lost, what Ardalin stole, and Chaol recognizes it instantly. He's seen this before in Sorsha. He knows Fenharrow's scars, knows the cost of empire, and with that realization, he knows something else. Irene Towers isn't here to forgive. She's here to remind him of every reason she shouldn't. This chapter is such a perfect collision point. He's Chaol, he's broken, defensive, and he's still clinging to control, but Irene is furious, unyielding, the embodiment of every consequence Ardalin left behind. And Nezrin is just caught in between. She's already fading from Chaol's orbit as a new storm brews. The healing hasn't even started yet, but the emotional surgery, oh, that's already underway.
And then into Tower Dawn, Chapter 6. The tables switch again, and we get Irene's POV when she storms out of Chaol's room. She expected some grizzled Ardalin brute, but nope. What she found was a young man with a hopeful look in his eye, and that hope is what broke her composure. She was ready to scar him just to wipe it away. Classic SJM move. The thing that disarms her isn't his strength, it's his vulnerability. She burst into Hafiza's office, sweaty and guilty, confessing that she was about as professional as a drunk sailor at her first meeting. Hafiza, bless her patient, wise, Silba gifted soul, doesn't scold. Instead, she turns it into a lesson. Do better next time. You can practically hear her sipping her tea while she says it. Calm, unimpressed, absolutely legendary. And yet, Irene admits she thinks she can heal him. That belief slips out almost against her will, but she's caught in a storm of old wounds. He is from Ardalin, the land that destroyed her family, her home, everything. So the question becomes not can she heal him, but does she even want to? Meanwhile, across the palace, Nesrin is a restless storm cloud. She can't sit still with all this waiting, so she decides to visit her family. But before she goes, we get that painfully awkward moment with Chaol. Her leaning in close, his eyes brightening for a heartbeat, and then she drops the completion question like a brick. Boom. Lights out. The spark's gone, and you can just feel how mismatched they are, fumbling their way through intimacy. And then, cue the dramatic entrance music. Sartak appears. He is out of his royal finery and into riding leathers, all charm and steel, and instantly the air shifts. Nesrin actually laughs. She teases, she relaxes. For the first time in ages, we see her alive in conversation, and you can practically hear me foaming at the mouth, like, oh, here's the chemistry.
Here it is.
So, what's happening under the surface is brilliant. Irene's deciding if she can heal the man who represents everything she lost. Nesrin and Chaol's cracks are widening, and fast. Sartak swoops in, like, hey, what if love didn't feel like pulling teeth? This chapter isn't action packed, much like this book, but it is emotional. The ground is shifting under every single relationship, and we're left knowing something's about to break and something new is about to take flight.
Ooh.
And it might be me off the top of the Taurus Esme.
We only have one more Tower of Dawn chapter in this episode. Just one more.
Yeah, and who's got to
We're
read
fine. Back to Empire of Storms, chapter 11. Oh, and we're back with Manon.
it? Yay!
Oh, finally. So Manon flies back into Morath after Rifthold, and honestly, she's ready to start rearranging faces with her iron nails. She's killed 5 yellow legs already, and Iskra knows it. The tension between these two is thicker than Wyvernhide. When Iskra calls her a liar and bolts straight for Grandma Blackbeak to tattle, Manon knows the game is about to change. And change it does. Because when Manon walks into that council chamber, it's not just a meeting, it's a trial. The matrons have gathered, and suddenly we're in full witch court. 3 faces of the mother, 3 matrons, and one very pointed accusation. Manon killed a yellow-leg sentinel without cause, and Iskra is right there to twist the knife with a smile. But Manon does what she does best. She lies smoothly, ruthlessly, without flinching. She even flips the whole thing back on Iskra, accusing her of scheming for the wing leader spot. This classic courtroom spin move. And just when it looks like the walls are closing in, Petra Blueblood steps forward. Remember Petra? She's the one that Manon saved back at the War Games. She comes in clutch, standing up in front of all the matrons to vouch for Manon. Petra basically says, if she wanted me dead, she could have let me die back then. Don't fall for Iskra's petty grudge. And you can almost hear the collective gasp in the room. For a moment, it looks like Manon's off the hook. Relief starts to creep in, but then, of course, Grandma Blackbeak takes center stage. And instead of letting it slide, she twists the knife in the most brutal way possible. Manon won't pay the price herself. Oh no, one of her 13 will. And not just any of them. Her second, Astrid. At sunrise. This is SJM at her sharpest. The stakes go from political tension to gut punch personal in half a page. Manon can handle taking a beating herself. We know she can. But her grandmother ripping Astrid away, that's the kind of cruelty that forces Manon into a corner. And let's be real. When you corner Manon Blackbeak, things are about to get bloody.
Yup. And we're on to the final chapter of the episode, and it's Tower of Dawn, chapter 7. Chaol starts by pulling Kaja aside, asking her to sneak down to the docks and dig up intel about Rifthold. Which, let's be real, asking your palace servant to casually go fishing for war updates? That's some desperate energy. He knows it too, but the idea of Nestrin learning the worst alone and carrying it back in silence is something he can't stomach. Already, the guilt is simmering. Then comes the meeting with Prince Argon. And oh, does Argon love to play the smug politician? His prize peacocks strut around while Chaol is forced into small talk about their mating calls because nothing says diplomacy like awkward bird facts. But underneath the niceties, it's icy. Chaol demands to know where Argon got his intel on Rifthold. Argon's answer is perfectly polished. I can tell you absolutely nothing. And then he has Chaol escorted out like yesterday's trash. That little power move leaves Chaol seething, but what's worse, he knows Argon isn't lying. Rifthold has fallen, Dorian is missing, and Chaol has no plan. No way forward. By dinner, his nerves are shredded even more. Nestrin still hasn't come back. Hours tick by, and he has to sit at the Coggins' grand table pretending everything's fine, while inside he's spiraling. Kaja's report confirms the attack is real, trade has shut down, and silence still hangs over Dorian's fate. And then Irene walks in, dressed simply but glowing in amethyst, and suddenly the whole table lights up around her. Hussar adores her. Sartak bows respectfully. Cashin practically burns holes with his gaze. And Chaol notices. He notices Irene carefully, not noticing him, like her glare alone could set him on fire if he dared acknowledge her. The dynamic at the table is deliciously tense. Cashin trying to stake claim on Irene, Argon mocking him across the dishes, Hassar being chaotic as ever, and Chaol just stuck in the middle. He tries to turn it into reconnaissance, peppering Cashin with questions about the southern armies. But it's clear Cashin isn't a serious contender for the throne. Not like Argon, not like Hussar. Still, Irene keeps warning Chaol with subtle looks not to say too much, not to let slip his worry about Nestrin's absence. For all her barbed edges, she's protecting him in her own way. And when Nestrin finally comes home, it's nearly 1 a.m. She breezes in with flushed cheeks, bright eyes, apologizing for missing dinner like it's no big deal. But to Chaol, who's been imagining her gutted in an alley by Morath agents, it's a huge deal. Their argument is sharp, bitter, him accusing, her defensive, both of them talking past each other. Nestrin insists she's safe here, and Antika isn't Rifthold. Chaol can't let go of the fear. She shuts him down with a clip goodnight, and he's left stewing alone, waiting for a reconciliation that never comes. So, what do we get in this chapter? A reminder that Chaol's political influence here is paper thin, and Argon knows it. The tension at the royal table brewing hotter by the second, and Irene caught in the center. And the cracks in Chaol and Nestrin's relationship is widening into chasms. It's not flashy, but it's brutal. Chaol's world is shrinking, his control slipping, and the people around him are either moving on, moving against him, or moving towards someone else. So, thoughts, feelings, concerns, theories?
Oh, I don't have like any brain cells to work for Tower of Dawn. Like I already said at the beginning that I honestly felt like everything that has happened in Tower of Dawn so far could have been condensed down to just a couple chapters. Yeah. It feels like there's so much unnecessary information here.
Yep.
And just like repetitive.
Yep.
I feel. So that sucks because now that's all I'm going to expect for majority of the book.
And I
I,
feel
I
bad
don't.
from shitting on it so much because that's definitely not helping how you're feeling right now.
Well, it's not just you. I mean, everybody that I've seen that have like rated it has rated it low.
I see a lot of Chaol girlies say it's their favorite of the series. Can't relate.
Yeah, but
Even a little.
Sarah screwed up his character.
Yeah, that she did.
he had he had so much potential, and she made some poor writing choices, I think, or plot choices. I don't know. Out of character. I, I don't know. But what the hell is going to happen with the 13? He's like, Astron's not going to die, right? Astron's not going to die. She can't die. She's like my favorite out of the witches. She can't die. You're giving me a very plain look.
I am just.
I know. You can't react one way or the other. I'm just so afraid because I really, really like Astron.
I was literally sucking in my cheeks and everything so I don't make any sort of facial expression. Like,
I love it.
when you were reading that chapter, I just turned off my camera. I was like, can't do it.
Yep. Oh
I've
my
given
God,
enough
I'm
away.
so nervous.
What was the big thing that I gave away unintentionally? There was something really big. Oh, it was the Minorian ship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was coming.
Yeah, and then not realizing that I sent you a huge spoiler when we were playing Final Fantasy and you wanted to name your character after Lysandra, and you're like, what's Lysandra's last name? And I'm like, I can't remember. Let me look it up. And I send it to you, and you're like, what's this?
No, it's not. No, it's not. We probably shouldn't say it on the podcast.
No, that's why I was just like, no.
Yeah.
Big spoilers.
I was like, is what now? Excuse me?
Yeah.
But again, I feel like I called it.
You did.
I probably shouldn't even say that. Is anybody listening up till now might
hopefully they have the memory that we do.
Of a goldfish, yeah.
Like, may as well call me Dory.
We didn't get any Aelin in these chapters, did we?
No.
We got a lot of a lead. This one, Manon. Mm-hmm. Way too much Chaol and Irene.
Yes, sir.
We didn't get any. I mean, we only had three chapters of Empire of Storms with this episode.
Yeah, and it was all a lead and Manon.
A lead, yeah, and then the last one, Manon.
Yeah. No Rowan, no Dorian, no Aelin.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that we haven't even gotten back to Rowan and Dorian yet. So nope. Dorian being a burrito in a moldy old boat.
I'd still take the burrito.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff.
Well, before next episode, make sure that you've read up to chapter 12 of Tower of Dawn and up to chapter 16 of Empire of Storms if you don't want anything spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
Or, as I've said before, if you want to just skip Tower of Dawn, you'll get filled in on anything important that happens.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure these, like, summaries of the chapters could be a lot shorter. if we're just doing like what's important in the chapters.
Yeah.
But
Well,
is what it is.
until next week. Bye.
Toodles. And with that, our coven summoning comes to a close. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
And follow Caffeine and Conjuring on Instagram and TikTok to stay up to date on our journey through Throne of Glass.
Every chapter, hear the call. Adventure